breaking news now. The indictment against Sean Diddy Combs has just been unsealed. Combs is being charged with racketeering conspiracy, alleging he ran an enterprise, that he engaged in sex trafficking, forced labor, or kidnapping, arson, and other crimes. He's also charged with sex trafficking by force. I want to bring in ABC's Phil Lipoff, ABC News contributor and SiriusXM radio host Mike Muse, and ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer for more. Phil, give us the details on this indictment.
So we're just looking through it right now. You hit the highlights, but right off the bat, you know, they go through all of his all of the names that, because they have to do that in an indictment. They have to name all the names he's ever gone by, and then they talk about he relied on his employees and resources to influence the multifaceted business and what he would do. They allege that there were, among other crimes, sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping. They allege arson, bribery, obstruction of justice. They go on to talk about how he would abuse women. They talk about kicking and punching and dragging and forcing.
Ain't this nigga damn near billionaire doing this shit, gang? Like, what's good with this nigga?
Them to have, they talked about highly coordinated sexual acts with male prostitutes. I mean, this is extensive.
What?
This seems to.
Hey, this nigga was Diddy too. This nigga was actually Diddy before Diddy was a thing. What the fuck? And this nigga was damn near a billionaire, gang. Hey, bro. Give me the money that this nigga had. I'm broke as shit. Give me the money this nigga had. This nigga sold the bag. This nigga was a billionaire doing this shit. What the fuck? Do you know the contraband they seized from this nigga? What? This nigga was a billionaire doing this shit, gang?
To be everything that we have heard about in allegations. I haven't been through the entire thing yet. We're all looking through it. But so far, what I can tell just in the first couple of pages is most of the things they are alleging in this indictment we have heard about.
And Phil, I'm going to give you a chance to go through. I know I put you on the spot.
It's about he had hella baby oil and lubricant.
They're literally, as we got that indictment now. Brian, walk me through legally. We've heard Diddy deny these charges, these accusations really throughout. Now they're officially charges. His attorney also before the indictment said that he's an imperfect person, but that he's not a criminal, again denying this. So what do you make of the fact that we're now seeing in black and white what the government is trying to charge him with?
Yes, so Diana, it makes it a lot more interesting as to how to dissect this case. We have three charges. We have a racketeering charge, or what we often hear as RICO. The second count being, as Phil articulated, what we all thought might be there, the sex trafficking through force, fraud, or coercion, and then, of course, the transportation of prostitution. Now, those are the first initial charges. There could be more coming down the line, depending on how this investigation goes, but this is what we know so far. When it comes to these charges, we're looking at life in prison as a maximum for at least the second count and potentially the first as well. But also when it comes to RICO, how they're describing this enterprise as its way of promoting, enhancing, and protecting the brand, and that sex and sex trafficking was a part of it. We're going to see all the ugly and gruesome parts of bad boy entertainment that surround this alleged abuse in a way that I don't think many of us are prepared for.
Ryan, can you talk about the degree to these charges? Because any kind of sexual abuse or sexual assault is bad enough, but it sounds like what they're describing is something that was really premeditated and coordinated. Yeah,
so when you're talking about RICO, you're talking about a criminal enterprise, and criminal enterprises can be anything. Oftentimes we associate RICO with, like, the mafia or things of that nature.
This nigga Diddy done got RICO, gang. This nigga Diddy done caught a RICO, gang. This nigga Diddy done caught a RICO. I posted it in the court. What? Oh, your car? Oh, I'm looking at it after this.
Money and violence. This seems to be more in line to, if you want to draw a comparison, to that of R. Kelly, where there was an organization within the music industry that kind of was part and parcel. They interacted with each other in a way that you couldn't see where the music started and the alleged abuse ended. That it's almost the trafficking and transporting of women for the pleasure, for increasing the brand, for potentially even,
hey,
we want to get a new artist,
he still want more.
Traffic this girl girl that he might be interested in a way of attracting
up, Zay? What the
and
business
keeping this artist in a way to grow the brand and make money off of it.
This
They are
nigga freaky as
alleging that
hell.
it is so intertwined that it's almost business as usual to do this trafficking and transporting. And at least that's what I'm reading from the initial allegations in this indictment.
We think of Diddy, we think of the music, but his influence goes far beyond that. How significant is it to have charges of this magnitude against someone who is this powerful?
It's huge. And just kind of give context to what Phil and what Brian is talking about. Diane, is in the conversation that we were just having a few moments ago. What I'm looking at from this unsealed indictment, of course, we need to learn a little bit more, is it seems like Cassie was such a big part of this indictment.
This
a lot
nigga
of these indictments comes from the lawsuit and allegations that Cassie was actually discussing. In particular, you think about arson. I know people are probably wondering, where is the arson coming from? In Cassie's lawsuit, she alleged that Diddy threatened...
How this nigga? I wonder what took them so long. Motherfuckers been saying all this shit since I was a kid. Man, they been saying this shit for about 3 years in my life. Shit. I ain't gonna cap though, cuz, like, how this nigga had a wife? This nigga was freaky as hell. The nigga having Diddy party and some more shit and he had a wife? Nah, this can't be real. This can't be
to
real.
blow up a current rapper Kid Cudi's car.
This can't be
to
real.
which
She had to know what was going on. She knew what was going on, and then now she's saying something. She freaky as hell too. Nah, she freaky as hell. She knew what was going on. There's no way he got this. There's no way he got an organization like this and she don't know what's going on. Okay, I ain't gonna cap. She was getting bust just with them other freaks with the baby oil and shit. Nigga said he got caught with baby oil.
Cudi's car
But I ain't gonna cap though, like,
blow up in an explosion, to
You
which
can't-
Kid
nothing wrong
Cudi
with
then
getting
gave
caught
a
with
statement
baby oil,
and said
like,
that he can confirm
I
that
don't even
actually
know what's
happened.
wrong
I'm
with him having
thinking
baby
that's
oil?
where the
He
reference
wanted- what if
of
he
the
just
arson
wanted
comes
to,
from.
oil
I'm also
up his
thinking
bitch?
about the male prostitutes. Cassie alleges that during that
He
time,
probably like oiling his bitch up when they fuck. Like, that don't mean, like, that's crazy work. Why they say they
Diddy would
seized the
force
baby
her
oil?
to look on the
fuck?
internet to solicit male prostitutes in order to engage in sexual activities. I'm assuming that is where
That's
the male
crazy
prostitute
work.
dynamic is coming from. In terms of kidnapping, Cassie too has alleged in her lawsuit the forceful nature to which Sean Combs would remove her from events, from social settings, from gatherings, and keep her in essentially in housing in order to perform these activities. When it comes to the idea of the enterprise, to kind of translate that to what Brian Buckmeyer just said so eloquently, culturally, what Diddy was. Diddy was the kind of person where if you were in the music industry, you wanted to be around. If you were trying to make your mark as an A&R executive, if you were trying to make your mark in the marketing, if you were trying to make your mark in order to hang out with him, to go to his home in the white parties in the Hamptons, that's how much of a pull Diddy had. I cannot underscore how Diddy had this concept and this idea of the Midas touch. And Diane, being a part of the music industry, being around Diddy, being around those events, being at his home in the Hamptons, being at his home in Miami, I had firsthand accounts, not of these allegations, I didn't see any of that, but how desperate people were to be in his orbit. I can't underscore that enough. You think about the 40th birthday party that he had that I went to at Cipriani's. I mean, people, they had Mariah Carey, you had, I remember the royal family was
breaking
invited.
his
I can't remember if they
NDA.
attended or not.
This
right?
nigga breaking his NDA, he crashing up. This nigga crashing up.
I remember the royal family
This nigga breaking his NDA right now.
right? But you had those type of individuals wanting to be there, coming. You think about Diddy runs the city with the marathon.
Hey, this nigga breaking
this
his
is
NDA,
the type
he
of
freaky.
influence and pull
He
that
tryna-
he had.
he-
And so when
he-
I think
he
about
crashing up.
the racketeering and the
crashing up.
enterprise dynamic, it's just about people who wanted to be near him and who was willing to do anything for Diddy to give them affirmation and recognition.
And Phil, as you're going through that indictment, what is that anything? What sticks out to you?
Well, I mean, Mike laid it out. I just want to touch on one thing that you didn't, and this is the violence toward women. In this one section, it says, on multiple occasions from 2009 on, Combs assaulted women, among other things, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects, and kicking them. These assaults at times were witnessed, and then they go into the 2016 video that we saw of Cassie. So you're right, a lot of this stems from Cassie's allegations, but you see, I mean, they've got it laid out there.
And then, Phil, to what you just mentioned, too, in terms of the physical violence, not only is Cassie a part of this, but also, too, the recent lawsuit that we saw from former Danny Kaine group member Dawn Richard. Dawn Richard also says she witnessed these violent acts, too, as well.
All right, Phil, Mike, Brian, thank you.
He had like regular events.
Berlin, we are going to jump in right now. This news conference, a federal indictment was
Let me see what like.
Breaking news now.
Where the shit? How y'all know they seized baby? Like, why would they take baby oil? What the fuck?
Breaking news.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Commercial sex. We're going to listen to this press conference. That's Damian Williams, U.S. District Attorney from New York City, on the latest with Diddy.
It was. He lost the brand.
The indictment also alleges that they helped Combs cover up his crimes. During the March 2016 incident at the LA hotel that I mentioned earlier, a member of the hotel security staff intervened, and Combs attempted to bribe the staff member with a stack of cash to make sure that what happened was kept quiet.
Damn.
And as the indictment alleges, in late 2023, after public allegations were made about Combs' crimes, he and others pressured witnesses and victims to stay silent, including by making phone calls to witnesses and victims and giving them a false narrative of what they had experienced. And as alleged, Combs used others to help conceal his abuse by monitoring and preventing victims from leaving a location in order to hide their injuries, or by locating and contacting a victim who had attempted to flee. As part of this investigation, in March of this year, special agents from HSI executed search warrants at Combs' residences in Miami and Los Angeles. They also executed a warrant for Combs' electronic devices. During those searches, agencies
they got the phones, his ass cooked.
Evidence of the crimes charged in this indictment. They seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 defaced AR-15s and a large capacity drum magazine. They also seized evidence of the freak-offs, electronic devices.
Evidence of the freak-offs? What the fuck is that? That's what his sessions used to be after the parties? That's what they referring to? That's what they referring to? That's what they saying, freak-offs? The shit after the parties? They called that motherfucker a freak off. What the fuck?
That contain images and videos of the freak-offs with multiple victims.
That nigga used to be making tapes.
And they seized cases and cases of the kinds of personal lubricant and baby oil that Combs' staff allegedly used to stock hotel rooms for the freak-offs.
What the fuck? Cases and cases?
More than 1,000 bottles altogether.
1,000 bottles of baby oil? That nigga freaky as hell. What the fuck is he doing with all that damn oil? Damn, that nigga having 50 bitches by himself? That nigga, oh hell, nigga, 1,000? Bro, this nigga was a billionaire, gang. Like, this nigga was a billionaire, bruh. Oh my brother. I'm broke as hell, bro. Give me that money this nigga got, cuz. How you fumble the bag like that, gang? $50 million. This nigga having that shit. He sold the bag. Like, what do niggas be doing, gang? Give me that money. I'm broke as hell. This nigga a billionaire. What is you doing?
Together. Here are some of the items that we...
This nigga just made the damn oil, the baby oil sales finna skyrocket. They about to be like, what type of sex this nigga was having? It was making him go crazy like this. I need to buy this shit. Then the oil price is finna go up.
Covered during the searches.
This nigga crashed out.
As you can see here, this is a drum magazine, large capacity, and it contains, I believe, 59 rounds. I mentioned as well, we recovered 3 AR-15s. This is a close-up shot of one of the AR-15s, and you can see right here, the serial number has been thoroughly defaced. Another picture of more ammunition and parts of 2 AR-15s right there.
This nigga done crashed out, bruh.
Now, I want to be clear about 2 things. First,
He better not be
this
lacking.
office is determined to investigate and prosecute anyone who engages in sex trafficking, no matter how powerful or wealthy or famous you may be. No one should doubt our commitment on that. A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice.
They gave this nigga a key to the city, and this nigga Diddy a fuck. Oh, brother. They gave the wrong nigga the key. Hey, go get a key to Castanet, my nigga. Go get a key to Castanet, my nigga. This nigga cooked. His ass going to jail. His ass not getting out. This nigga ass, his ass is cooked. They need to go get a key to Castanet, my nigga. Oh, my brother, his ass cooked. They done, yeah, that's your boy? Hey, you stay far away from me, my nigga. If that's your boy, you stay far away from me. Cause, hey, I ain't into the Diddy activities, my nigga. That's your boy? That's cool, but your ass stay far away from me. Y'all ass strange as hell. Feel me? You niggas is strange. Your ass need to stay away from me, my nigga. I ain't gonna lie.
Justice
I'm not signing no NDAs, my nigga. Your ass stay far away from me.
Southern District of New York. Second, we are not
brother.
done. This investigation is ongoing, and I encourage anyone with information about this case to come forward and to do it quickly. Anyone with information can call 1-877-4HSI-TIP. I want to express my deep appreciation for the victims and witnesses who have used their voices and helped bring this criminal conduct to light. We would not be here without them. I also want to thank the dedicated case agents on the HSI Trafficking in Person Squad in New York. They have been with us since day one and have worked tirelessly on this investigation. They will continue to be invaluable partners to us. I also want to thank the incredible agents and analysts from SDNY who have also provided tremendous assistance on this case. I'm deeply grateful for their continued work.
This nigga Diddy.
And finally, I want to thank the outstanding career prosecutors from SDNY who are handling this case.
I don't know what he thought.
Meredith Foster, Emily Johnson, Chrissy Slavic, Madison Smizer, and Mitzi Steiner, and their supervisors, Jamie Backleeper and Jacqueline Kelly. They are members of the Civil Rights Unit in our criminal division. We created the Civil Rights Unit when I became U.S. Attorney. I am deeply proud of their work on this and so many other cases. I'll now take some questions.
Eric Katursky, ABC.
Thanks, Nick. Damian, thanks. The indictment describes aggressive, open, violent, hedonistic abuse that you say was recurrent and widely known. Why did it take law enforcement so long to intervene? How many women were victimized by Sean Combs, and how many others were involved?
Look, our investigation is ongoing. We are committed to bringing justice to everyone who's been victimized by the defendant. I can't tell you why it took so long.
$50 million bond, though. I ain't gonna lie. The U.S. might look at that cheese and be like, man, let that freaky ass nigga go home. There's too much money to pass up on. This nigga done put out a $50 million bond request? Damn. What the fuck? This nigga having that shit. That nigga put out a $50 million bond request.
I think the better focus is on the fact that we are here today. And we are committed to making sure that justice is done. Next question.
Man, if I see any celebrity hanging around his ass, they
Thank you for doing this. You said we are not done and that Combs did not do this alone. Do you foresee that there could be other charges related to this case?
I'm not taking anything off the table.
Janet Fisher, Newsday.
What's the difference between why is it in New York though if he was in Miami and LA? Like, see, that's why they gonna let the nigga off. Like, why is he, why is it a New York case?
And promoting travel for the purpose of prostitution.
Well, there are different crimes with different elements. I don't think we should get into the nitty-gritty of the legal discussion right now, but the sex trafficking, we believe, they're all serious offenses, but the sex trafficking
nigga putting 50 bitches on the private
conduct
plane.
Carries some significant penalties, and we are gratified that we were able to bring that charge.
Is one more coercive than the other?
I'm not going to be able to get into that, but you can look it up, and yes, sex trafficking, especially when it involves coercion or force, is a very serious crime, and it carries significant penalties.
Good afternoon, Darla Miles, ABC 7 New York. Thank you for this press conference.
Hey, this is exactly how you got to pull up to a nigga house like this.
For the details.
This nigga weird. This nigga weird. His ass weird and a billionaire. That's two bad combos. You don't know what that nigga capable of. You better pull up like that. Yes, might not make it out if you don't. I ain't gonna
context of this indictment and the
that
information that was
billionaire.
presented to the grand jury, are you able to clarify the number of victims? It's mentioned plural in the indictment, but can you specify the number of victims just for this particular indictment? And secondly, can you provide details about the alleged arson?
Unfortunately, I'm not able to provide either. The number of victims, you are correct. We are intentional in saying multiple. The details of the arson incident are limited to what we have in the indictment and also the detention letter that we filed, which contains more details than the indictment does at various points, but we don't have anything more beyond that.
I'm looking at your uncle right here. Shit.
Are any of his accomplices or associates under investigation? And additionally, could he face any more charges?
Yeah.
So the investigation is ongoing. That means both as to him and to anyone else who we believe committed the crime with him.
Next question.
Julianne Papa.
Hi, good morning from 1010 Wins. Any indication that some of the women or victims here were imprisoned in his residences, and did he have locations where he kept them, and they were not allowed to leave? And also, he's indicted here, although there were searches and raids in LA, Miami. Why in New York?
Well, I'm biased. I'm the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York. I think that we have an outstanding track record of bringing some of the most impactful, sprawling, complex, difficult sex trafficking, human trafficking, labor trafficking, you name it. The Southern
this
District
nigga probably got $100 million lawyer. I'm gonna let you know right now. That motherfucker finna work in court. So they better have some good evidence for that. This nigga offering $50 million bonds, the lawyer might at least get the bond. That nigga might go off himself real quick.
New York can do it, and so we're very proud of that. And so the scope and complexity of this investigation isn't something that we ran from, it's something that we embrace, and we will continue to do that.
This weird ass
as to your question about whether he imprisoned anyone, all I can say is that, I mentioned this March 2016 incident where something was caught on video, where a victim was attempting to flee.
We gotta title that bitch The Freaky Life of Diddy Combs. Oh, my brother.
And there was violence that was associated with it.
We need a documentary of this strange ass shit.
That was at a hotel.
Matthew Lee, Inner City Press.
Sure. Thanks a lot. Does your office intend to seek remand, or are you reaching a bail package? And if you're willing, how would you contrast this with the R. Kelly case in ED&Y in terms of the elements? Thanks.
We need a documentary of this shit.
We will be seeking detention. We have filed a letter laying out our reasoning for seeking pretrial detention. I'm not going to be able to expand beyond what's in the letter, but it contains all of the reasoning, and it contains the law as well. There's a presumption of detention in a case like this, and we think that's warranted.
It's crazy work.
Thank you. John Anise, New York Daily News.
Thank you. I was hoping to get some more detail about the searches of his residence, the guns, the cases of lubricant, and the videos. Where were they found amongst his residence? Were they all scattered around the houses in one place. I kind of wanted to just get a better picture of how that stuff was found.
Well, look, I think that some of the details that you're seeking are in the detention letter. So, for instance, some of the AR-15s, 2 of the 3 DeFace AR-15s were found in his bedroom closet in Miami, broken down into parts, along with magazines, with ammunition loaded in them. So some of that detail is in the detention letter. Beyond that, I'm not going to be able to get into where other items were stored.
Ben Kochman, Post. Hey, thanks for doing this. Your office was the office that had been prosecuting Jeffrey Epstein before he died in custody. I have not read your detention memo yet. It's the first thing I'm going to do after this ends. But does the memo address, or is your office concerned with Combs' safety in custody, given what happened with Epstein?
So we are concerned with anyone's safety whenever they are detained prior to trial. It's part of our obligations to keep people safe as well. It's part of the criminal justice system. So, but I do not draw any sort of connection between Jeffrey Epstein's suicide and what may or may not happen to any other defendant while they are detained pretrial. And of course, the decision whether to detain the defendant will be up to a judge. Our position is that pretrial detention is warranted under the law and based on the facts of this case, and I'll leave it at that.
Are some of the prosecutors on this case some of the same prosecutors that...
Hey man, this nigga freaky as hell, gang. Like, I don't know what else to say about this nigga. This nigga right here is strange. That's crazy work. That's crazy work.